also smart. We're going to turn this into a round. I know, right? So we're going to start with group 1 over here. And then where it says 2, that's where group 2 will come in with the melody.
It doesn't say there.
What? It doesn't say, it says it in the book. So that doesn't help. So you come in on Wanderer, yeah. As soon as they're about to sing Wanderer, this group will come in. And then as soon as this group sings Leaving, group 3 will come in. But you don't have to worry because it's my job to cue you. And if I mess you up, that's on me. Okay. So let's try this. Now let's get the drone going and then we'll add the melody. Though you've broken your vows 1,000 times. Ready? Let's start here. Come, come, whoever you are. Come, come, whoever you are. Come, come, whoever you are. You're a worshiper, lover of leaving. Ours is no caravan of despair. Come, yet again, come. Come, come, whoever you are. Wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving. Ours is no caravan of despair. Come, yet again, come. Come, come, wherever you are. Come, yet again, come. It all worked out without me, so I'm grateful. Beautiful job.
Each week we make space and time to be human and celebrate our joys and grieve our sorrows together. Should you wish to share a personal joy or sorrow, we have pieces of paper over here on the table that you can fill out and put in the basket, and I will read them aloud as part of the ritual. The way the ritual works is we'll have a line that comes up along here and a line that goes around the edge, and each line comes up and you pick a shell. We have some beautiful new crystals in there. There's some stones, some rocks, there's a pecan, there's a bell, all kinds of good things that are running around in there. And you take that item and you give it whatever you need to give it to be held in community. So we are here for each other, and we will place those stones and bells into the chalice, and this becomes our holy sacred water. So I invite you now to the ritual. First, I placed a stone for Renee Nicole Good, who was murdered by ICE in Minneapolis. The city is grieving and angry, and each night they are gathering in frigid temperatures to claim their beloved and their rights to own their own city and the right to love their neighbors. We send them love and support for their resistance and for their grieving. And we would like to, Maria also wants to share that Renee Nicole Good deserves so much better. May her memory be eternal. Sujata Bijou says, last week I saw Leslie and Soleil hold hands as walking, and I saw how it symbolized how this church has held us as a new family. A deep thank you. That was my honor, for sure. How old is Soleil? 10? 8. You know, when an 8-year-old grabs your hand, it's just like so happy. Please drop a stone, if you would, for strength to people of color and anyone else affected by the brutality of ICE rampaging through our streets. That comes from Jace. And Stormy looks like maybe has some good news that a new peer support worker is working with Stormy. That's great. And we are going to wish a happy birthday to Holly, the beautiful soulmate of Marty. Happy birthday. Beautiful. Thank you all. By the light of the chalice, let us together take a moment to hold in our hearts all that is known to us and unknown of those who are struggling. For sorrows and concerns shared here, may you feel our sympathy and compassion. And we take a moment to open our hearts to joy, ours or that of others, known to us and unknown. We join you in celebration. For all that remains unspoken, both joy and sorrow, may the caring of our community offer you both kindness and hope. May you know love, may you know peace, and may you be safe. Okay, and now we have a Time for All Ages, which is a video about restorative justice from Wally and Freya. So if you want to come up front to see the movie a little better, come on up front and we will play.
Hello, my name is Lindsay Pointer, and I'm going to explain restorative justice in 3 minutes using the children's picture book Wally and Freya, written by me, Lindsay Pointer, and illustrated by Stella Mangodi. Wally was a bully, that's what everybody said. They were sure that hurtful thoughts were all that filled his head. Wally stole lunch every day from Bella Joe the bear, and he always hogged the crumbs and then refused to even share. Needless to say, when it was time for the kids to play, Wally's classmates all would holler, "Wally, go away!" During recess, kids brought pens and imagination soared. They wrote of pirates, goblins, ghouls, dragons, knights, and lords. Freya the Red Fox wrote the most captivating tales of terrifying monsters with big teeth as sharp as nails. One day, Freya's book of tales simply disappeared. It's lost and gone forever, or so the children feared. Raphael the rabbit spoke up fast to save the day. Wally took the book, he said. Quick, he went that way. Chasing after Wally, they were shocked by what they found. Pages of her book were scattered all across the ground. Freya's words were hidden under Wally's scary doodles of terrifying monsters eating eyes and guts like noodles. They all let out a gasp. "What have you done?" the group exclaimed. Wally ran into the forest looking quite ashamed. But Freya thought twice as she watched young Wally go and followed down the grassy path to where the oak trees grow. Wally was there hanging his head and kicking the dirt. Freya saw in Wally's eyes that both of them felt hurt. "Your drawings are amazing," Freya genuinely said. This made Wally smile, and he slowly turned his head. "Why'd you take my book?" she asked with kindness in her eyes. "I don't know," said Wally, letting out a big long sigh. "I guess I just always wanted to be part of the fun, but you wouldn't understand. You're friends with everyone." "Nobody likes me," Wally said, while looking very sad. "Sometimes I get so sad, and then that sadness makes me mad." He told his new friend Freya about troubles in his home, and told her how he felt so scared and completely alone. Freya sat and listened, and she let Wally talk on. By the end of Wally's story, her anger was gone. "I have a fun idea," she said, with kindness in her smile, and together they gathered her book's pages in a pile. The next day the kids gathered by the biggest old oak tree. What they found when they arrived was quite the sight to see. Wally's illustrations were all pinned up on the bark, scary drawings of mean monsters and terrible sharks. Freya told a story, and it made them come alive. The monsters were embarking on a dangerous deep-sea dive. When her epic story ended, everybody cheered. They saw Wally was an artist and not to be feared. From that day on, Wally was a member of the crew. The others wrote the stories, and as for Wally, he drew. You see, Freya did something quite special on that fateful day. Instead of striking back, she made sure Wally was okay. There's always much more to people than we can see. Beautiful things happen when we practice empathy.
And now we will sing our children to the religious education classes with the blessing song. Blessing, you were born, and it matters what you do. What you know about God is a piece of the truth. Let the beauty you love be what we do, and we don't have to do it alone. It's a blessing I was born, and it matters what I do. What I know about God is a piece of the truth. Let the beauty we love be what I do, and I don't have to do it alone. It's a blessing you were born, and it matters what we do. What we know about God is a piece of the truth. May the beauty you love be what we do, and we don't have to do it alone. Okay. Let us deepen into silence for a time of meditation and the prayers of your own heart. I will lead us in a guided meditation, and then we will enter into silence for just a moment, and then we're going to whisper sing a lullaby, number 391, Voice Still and Small. So settle in as is comfy for you. The dandelion is the only flower that represents 3 celestial bodies during different phases of its life cycle: sun, moon, and stars. The yellow flower of the plant resembles the sun. The puffball, when it has gone to seed, looks like the moon. And the seeds of the plant, when blown into the air, are like stars. Settle into your chair in a comfortable position. You may need to wiggle a bit to get there, raising and lowering your shoulders, wrinkling your nose and eyebrows, shaking your whole head. As you settle in, close your eyes if you like, or keep your gaze soft. Notice your feet on the floor. Feel the chair supporting you. your strong and sturdy connections to the earth. Notice your breathing. Where is it in your body? Just noticed. Don't worry about changing it. Let your breathing be as it is. As you settle into your breathing, begin to imagine a dandelion. You may see it in your mind's eye, or you may sense that it's there. Imagine or know that the dandelion has gone to seed, a puffball of white fluffiness. Imagine holding that dandelion in your hands, the cool stem between your fingertips. In your mind's eye, or with your intuition, see the dandelion's silver globe of wishes, a moon of wishes. Inhale deeply. And as you exhale, imagine gently blowing those dandelion seeds and sending them out into the world. Picture or know that your wishes are flying far, landing and finding soil and sprouting into young green shoots. Picture those wishes sprouting. Know those wish stars are sprouting in the warmth of the sun. As those wishes reach toward the warmth of the sun, supported by the cool of the earth, think about: what good things do you wish for yourself? What good things do you wish for someone else? What good things do you wish for the world? Consider that, like a dandelion, you are sometimes the sun, sometimes like the moon. Sometimes you light the way for others as they navigate the seas of their lives. Your presence adds values to the lives of those around you. You bring healing, nourishment, and beauty into the world. You are resilient, and your roots grow deep. Breathe in this knowledge, this knowing, for a moment longer. And as you are ready, on your next exhale, slowly flutter your eyes open. Still and small, deep inside all, I hear you call, singing. In dark and rain, sorrow and pain, still you remain, singing. Calming my fears, quenching my tears, through all the years, singing. Beloved community, in a world loud with judgment, urgency, and harm, I want to begin today with a question that is both simple and difficult. How are we listening? Not just to one another, but to ourselves, to our bodies, to the quiet truths that live beneath our opinions and our positions. Marshall Rosenberg, the founder of Nonviolent Communication, offered us the image of giraffe ears. The giraffe, he said, has the largest heart of any land mammal. To listen with giraffe ears is to listen from the heart for feelings and needs, rather than with jackal ears that are listening for blame, strategy, or superiority. This kind of giraffe ear listening asks us to slow down. It asks us to hear what is alive in someone, even when we disagree, especially when we disagree. Rosenberg teaches that beneath every action, no matter how harmful, there is a human need trying to be met. This does not excuse harm, but it does change how we respond to it. It moves us from punishment toward understanding, from domination toward relationship. This is not the easy way, but it is a deeply Unitarian Universalist one. Adrienne Maree Brown, you can go to the next slide, is one of my favorite queer Black authors and activists. And they like to look at justice and liberation from a framework of fractals. Fractals are infinitely complex, never-ending patterns that are self-similar across different scales. What we see in the minor is what is reflected in the major scale. Small changes. Adrienne reminds us again and again that small is good and small is all. That is the title of the next worship service coming up. This is the lead-in. Small changes, small practices, small moments of integrity and care. In a culture that glorifies scale, the bigger the better, speed, the faster the better, and spectacle, attention to drama, this can feel almost insulting. Surely the problems we face, violence, racism, a climate collapse, political cruelty and murder, surely those require something bigger than small acts. And yet Adrienne Maree Brown insists what we practice at the smallest level shapes the whole. How we speak when we're tired, how we repair after harm, how we listen when we want to interrupt. These are not side issues. They are the work. Small is good. Small is all. For us as Unitarian Universalists, this practice has a name: covenant. We are not held together by shared doctrine or certainty, but by shared promises, by how we agree to be with one another when things are tender, tense, or broken. Covenant is our spiritual technology for relationship. It is how we practice giraffe ears together. And I recognize that the word covenant might bring back other faith traditions that may have failed you or harmed you in the past. Some of the language of covenant from the Hebrew scriptures refers to when God sent a giant flood and chose to save Noah and his family and the 2 by 2 of animals. God showed Noah a rainbow as a promise to all humanity and creation that he will never again destroy the earth with a global flood. There are plenty of problems with that story, which we use as metaphor, but the covenant was a promise from God to Noah. Now we know we have had floods that have had devastating impact across the country, across the globe. You use covenant differently. We do write them as promise, as a plan of how we want to be with each other. And sometimes covenants are behavioral. Don't do this, don't do that. And sometimes they are aspirational. This is how we dream of being together, and we are working our way towards that. Unitarian Coastal Fellowship's covenant has a little bit of both, and Mark is going to guide you in reciting it together.
With me now, we, the members and friends of the Unitarian Coastal Fellowship, reverently covenant to welcome with open minds and tender hearts all who come to this place. Encourage and affirm each other in our lifelong spiritual quest. Take responsibility for the growth of our fellowship through active participation and generous support. Celebrate the gifts we bring and share. Hold one another in the face of challenge. Honor the diversity of our experiences and ways of being. Speak and listen with respect. Forgive ourselves and each other, and begin again and again in love.
I always say that I want that last line to be up front, the one that says, we begin again and again and again and again, yes? Because that's exactly what we do. When we write covenants in congregations, in committees, they're in the classroom, they have their own covenant, and some families have chosen to write a covenant for them to use at home. We are naming what helps us listen from the heart. We ask, how will we speak when we disagree? How will we listen when harm occurs? What do we commit to offering one another when emotions are high and certainty feels tempting? Our covenants often name curiosity, deep listening, respect, accountability, and care. Not because these come naturally, but because we need reminders of who we are trying to be. And when a covenant is broken, and it will be, we do not throw each other away. We return to each other. Covenant is not a tool for punishment or for public shaming. It's an invitation back into relationship. With giraffe ears on, we ask, what happened? What was the impact? What needs were unmet? What is needed now for repair? In this way, a covenant becomes a living practice of nonviolent communication. It's a communal commitment to stay human with one another, even when it's hard. Another one of my favorite Black activists and authors is Mariame Kaba. She wrote the book, We Do This Till We Free Us, Abolitionist Organizing and Transforming Justice. And it is a book that my white anti-racist organizing group read and processed together. Mariame's book serves as a guide to prison and police abolition and explores how to build power and create transformative justice through collective action, rather than relying on the existing punishment system, which is what we have. This is where our covenants meet the wisdom of Mariame Kaba, who reminds us that justice is not about punishment. That justice is not about punishment. Justice is not about punishment, but about making things right. Punishment, she teaches, does not heal communities. It fractures them. Restorative justice asks us to center harm without dehumanizing anyone involved. Instead of asking, who deserves the consequences, restorative justice asks, what happened? Who was harmed? What do they need now? And who is responsible for meeting those needs? These are giraffe ear questions. They listen beneath behavior for longing, beneath conflict for connection. They move us from exile to accountability, from fear to possibility. Kaba also tells us that hope is a discipline. And boy, do I feel that sometimes. But restoration is a practice. And neither hope or restoration are passive acts. They both require us to keep choosing relationship, even when it would be easier to withdraw or to harden our hearts. One more Black author and activist to tie into this conversation. Prentice Hemphill uses they-them pronouns and wrote the book, What It Takes to Heal, How Transforming Ourselves Can Change the World. They encourage personal healing rooted in embodiment, which is understanding our body's sensations and beliefs, how it holds trauma, how it releases trauma, and that it is crucial for collective change. They share a framework for healing bodies, minds, and souls, developing intra within your own, and then intra-personal skills, how we relate to each other, and fostering community-based healing to reshape the world towards justice. Prentice Hemphill offers us crucial grounding. Healing, they remind us, is not about avoiding conflict or smoothing things over. Healing requires truth, boundaries, and the capacity to stay present with discomfort. And that is very, very hard, to stay present when we are hurting, when all we want to do is run away and hide and be mad. But giraffe ears do not mean tolerating harm. They mean telling the truth without contempt, setting boundaries without severing relationship, and listening in ways that allow dignity to remain intact. Hemphill invites us to ask, what does my body need in order to stay present in this moment? What does my body need to be present in this moment? That question, too, belongs in our covenants, because we cannot listen from the heart if we are abandoning ourselves. What I have shared so far is the why of covenant and repair. And now I want to share some logistics with you about how Unitarian Coastal Fellowship manages covenant, harm, and repair. So this slide shows how we are structured. You'll see up there at the top, that's you, the congregation. And underneath that, a few people have said, yes, we will be on the board of trustees. And from there, you'll see the minister related to the staffing committee, and you'll see that the positions, the admin assistant, the pianist, the music director, the RE coordinator, child care staff, all report to the minister. And then on the right, you'll see committee on ministry, leadership council, and nominating committee. And then off to the right in green, that must be over here, are our programs. These are our shared ministries. I want to point out the Committee on Ministry because they are key to this spiritual practice of covenant. There are 4 people on it: Penny Hooper, Martha Kenworthy over there, Sandy Parker, is she here today? Oh no, there she is, yes, she's here, and myself. The committee's purpose is to evaluate our ministry, our shared ministry, because this isn't my church, I don't own it, it is yours, and I serve you as minister. We have shared ministry, those items in green on the right. Those are the ministries that we feel make us special and how we live our truth into the world. And the Committee on Ministry, or the COM, as we call it, is the location for covenant, right relationship, conflict, repair, restorative justice. If you are having conflict with someone or something at the church, you can bring it directly to me, or you can bring it to the COM, and we will all work together to find resolution. You don't need to go to the Board of Trustees, because they actually have plenty of other jobs that they get to do. Isn't that right, Mark? Their ballot is full. However, if you don't get the resolution you need either from me or from the Committee on Ministry, then yes, you can take it up to the Board of Trustees and they will work with you to resolve the grievance. Cameron Young, who you're going to start hearing about more often these days because they are now the lead for the southern region of the Congregational Life team. The southern region starts, I think, in Missouri, goes down to Texas. How should I do it? Missouri, down to Texas, across the southern coast, down to Florida, and I believe North Carolina might be the top of the South. I don't know if Virginia is included, but that is a very big region. And it is served by 3 to 4 religious professionals whose job, whose purpose in being there is to make sure that the congregations and the leaders are resourced. Cameron uses they, them pronouns, and I heard the other day, I believe that Susan Roberts told me that she meets with the Southern Region team and other lay leaders once a month. Is that right? Right. And I also meet with the Southern Region team and the Southern Region ministers once a month. And in one of those meetings, we were talking about covenant, and Cameron said, when one of us is out of covenant, all of us are out of covenant. When one of us is out of covenant, all of us are out of covenant. And that was noteworthy to me because it means that covenant is something that you agree to, that you are accountable to. It's not just some pithy words. It's how we live into our faith with each other. There might come a time when you are invited to meet with the COM. Perhaps you've been exhibiting some behavior that isn't in line with our values, usually because you are going through something in your life. Oftentimes, this includes triangulation, which is where one person is upset with another person or an issue, and instead of going directly to the person or whoever manages this issue, they go to a third person to triangulate the issue. And what happens there is instead of going directly to the source, their anxiety drives them to find someone else to go to help them with this issue. This is done all the time. I've done it many times. However, it is an unhealthy, indirect communication pattern, and it creates division into fractions and prevents the direct communication required to live into our covenants. So we always invite you to come directly to the person or persons in the congregation that you're struggling with. We are here together as a community. We place all of our joys and sorrows in this communal bowl because we trust each other with our lives, with our joys, and with our sorrows. When you are invited to meet with the COM, it might feel like you are being called to the principal's office. You are not. You are being invited into deeper relationship. We all need help sometime to live into the values we all aspire to live into that world we dream of living in. I've been called into covenant many times. I have many stories I was going to share with you, but I got wordy, so they're not in here. If you are having an issue with a staff member or something related to staffing, you can come to me as the main supervisor of staff at the congregation, or you can go to the staffing committee, which is made up of 4 of the 8 board members, so they are double working, plus me. So that's Barb Thomas, who is in here today, Amy Jones is here, Susan Roberts is here as vice president, and Jo Ellen Essex as co-treasurer is also here. And one of my roles as your minister is staff supervision. So I manage all of the staff, unless a staff member has been delegated as supervisor, like Sarah Grenier manages the RE and nursery staff. The staffing committee writes job descriptions, reads my evaluations of staff members, helps with getting positions filled, all of that kind of stuff. If you bring an issue to the staffing committee, we are going to use our values, our covenant, and spiritual practices to guide us all to right relationship and resolution. You can go to the next slide. There is a church in New Orleans that has a banner over the entrance that says, "No perfect people, only beloved community." That's about as true as you can get. We are not perfect. We always make mistakes, and covenant is how we repair harm and begin again and again in love, and again and again. Beloveds, this is spiritual work. To listen beneath words, to speak from needs rather than accusations, to return to covenant instead of resorting to punishment, to trust that small, faithful practices matter. In a fractured world, listening with giraffe ears is an act of resistance. In a violent culture, choosing repair is a moral stance. In a despairing time, believing that small is all is a spiritual discipline. May we keep practicing this with one another. May we keep returning to covenant when we falter. May we remember that every moment of heart-centered listening is a seed, and seeds given time and care change the world. Amen, and blessed be.
Rise in body or spirit, and we will sing hymn 318. We will be one.
We would be one as now we join in singing our hymn of love, to pledge ourselves anew to the cause of greater understanding of who we are and what in us is true. We would be one in living for each other, to all a new community. We would be one in building for tomorrow a noble world than we have known today. We would be one in searching for meaning which binds our hearts and points us on our way. As one we pledge ourselves to greater service, with love and justice strive to make us free.
Each month, the Social Justice Committee selects a nonprofit organization to share the plate with UCF. For the month of January, we have selected Family Promise of Carteret County, an organization that provides transitional housing program for families with children. The program provides meals and shelter, counseling, assistance in accessing local resources, including SNAP, Medicaid, subsidized housing, jobs, and whatever else is needed. Please give generously to support this wonderful organization, which is doing so much for our community. Please join in blessing this offering with hymn number 402, From You I Receive. And please join me in reading our chalice extinguishing words. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. And now in Spanish. Dios es la luz, la verdad. La calor de comunidad, el fuego nuestro compromiso. Este es el celo del corazón. Hasta
It is our tradition to join hands around the edges of the sanctuary. If you'd like to stay in the middle and be surrounded by love, please do so. All right, we are all linked. May we open our hearts and minds to one another and the world. May we let ourselves be changed by the stories around us. May we deeply listen and be deeply listened to and be held in silence and love. And so may it always be. Amen. Go now in peace and join together for snacks in the social hall and then the Death Cafe.
I like you up there.